Right. So, Katie, this is the part of the show I suppose you've been looking forward to the most, because this is all about you. This is why you're here. You're here to tell us, and everyone that's listening, hopefully, what it is you do, how you got started. So just give us a little bit of background on sort of where you are now, what it is you do on a daily basis. And
Well, I'm a Knight Bites, which is a tiny little baking business that I set up I established it last June and then launched in August. It was after kind of months of lockdown and realizing that I just love to bake, and then I got told that I should start selling my bakes as a kind of a joke, really. And then I was like, oh, I mean, why not, actually? And then made sure I had all the legal stuff sorted, and then I just kind of started baking brownies, and it's kind of gone from there, really. It's exploded.
That's how this podcast started.
As a joke.
Yeah.
The best things do. The best stories start as jokes. So now I've kind of expanded slightly. I'm doing more cakes now as well. But I do postal brownies in different flavors, and that's me.
That's you.
Fantastic. Where would you say your sort of passion for cookery comes from?
Well, sounds so cliche, but I was always in the kitchen as a kid. And I just love the feeling of someone enjoying what I've cooked. Yeah. I love to host. I love making big meals for people. I always have done. Then going to university and being the one who hosted at university was always a big deal for me. I think I just love that feeling of just someone else enjoying what I've made.
I think that's the essence of cooking, isn't it? I mean, people often, they obviously do all these things, wonderful things at wonderful places, but the essence of it, at its core is to be welcoming, it's to be homely, it's to nourish people, food's what brings people together. Like you said, as cliche and corny as things like that sound, it is, it used to be, the part of the week you would all one day on a Sunday, the family get together and, you break bread. And I think it's important that you try as much as you can to hold on to those sentiments and put that into what it is you do.
Yeah, definitely.
Hence why you're making generous, delicious chocolatey treats and things like that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Is there a plan for you going forward? Have you got any sort of ideas on where you think things might be once normal life resumes?
Well, I've got a few plans. I'd ideally in the future, the goal is to have my own little bakery, just a place where people can come and be themselves and eat the food I make. But that kind of safe space. But I don't know. I don't know whether to kind of put Knight Bites on hold going into the next year and then try and find more of a job where I can learn more culinary stuff, because I did work in the kitchen at a cafe, but I didn't really learn a lot in terms of like fine dining kind of stuff, and that's just to really get like a good bedrock like under my skills. That would be quite cool, but also very aware that it's very difficult to get a job at the moment, so more than happy to just continue doing what I'm doing at the moment, really. So I've got a few ideas, but we'll just kind of see where it goes.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's important. We'll come on to a book for younger chefs to come on to a bit later in your favourite section.
My favourite.
It's nice to hear a chef wanting to learn more from a different area. I think you can either get stuck where you are, what you're doing, or a lot of chefs I've seen, not recently, but before this all started, just wanting to go in a bit too high. You know what I mean? And I can't give you an example because none are coming to mind right now, obviously. But trying to go into a higher level than what they are.
Yeah, like I'm very aware that I have not come from, didn't go to culinary school. I'm very aware of that. And so I'm just really passionate about flavors and food, and so I'd love to learn. If culinary school was free, I'd be knocking on its doors, but yeah.
But it's not an essential thing, is it?
No, no.
Exactly.
I was in exactly the same boat as what Katie was a few years back. I just wanted to get into cookery as a job, as a career, and I was a little bit older than what you are now, I'm guessing. I was 26 when I started cooking properly as a career, and I'm guessing, without going into too much detail, you might be a few years off 26 at this point in time.
21.
21. There we go. So if you can use me as anything, it's an example that there's plenty of time still. But it's such an important thing that you say, and you're absolutely right. You've got to get a decent grasp on the basics before you start, jumping into anything too serious. Having a good grounding, and like Paul will definitely agree with me. You see many chefs who've got huge gaps in the repertoire. You know what I mean? By they're more than happy to put spherified cucumber balls and swipes of gel and dehydrated this, that, or the other, but they can't make short crust pastry. So you don't want to be one of those cooks who can look all flash and pretty, but when it comes down to the crunch, you don't know how to fillet a mackerel or something very basic like that. But I urge you to keep going with it, and if there's anything I can do to help you out along the way, and I'm pretty sure Paul will be the same, with any advice and help to get you started, all you got to do is ask.
Thank you.
I've been there.
I have a little admission to make. I have a slight obsession with your Instagram page.
Mine?
Yeah. Your brownies look amazing.
Thanks.
What is your favourite one?
I see. I actually planned for this question. So I've got two really. I make a sticky toffee pudding one, which I love dates. I love molasses, and I love the flavors of the Middle East, and dates feature so much there. But yeah, I think that one, just because it makes my whole kitchen just smell incredible. But I was really, really proud of one of my February specials, and it was a cherry bakewell brownie. I basically made it look like a cherry bakewell, but taste like a brownie, but also taste like a cherry bakewell. I was so proud of it. So it had marzipan, and it had flaked almonds, and it was I was just really proud of it. So that one, I think. Yeah.
Fantastic.
You can see by how excited you get by answering the question, by how much you love what you do, and that's so infectious.
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, and that sounds delicious, by the way. A sticky toffee brownie. I do need
to try some of these brownies.
I was going to be really cheeky and send a message before we came on and be like, "Well, you're going to have to send us out some brownies."
Oh, I'm more than happy to send you guys some. Absolutely.
We will pay for them, because I know that some bits and pieces that
you will pay.
I will pay for them.
I will eat.
You will eat. I'll pay, because there is some bits you do you've been involved with a few charities as well. I've seen recently, so stuff you're trying to sell is going to help people out as well, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, I do. It's a big part of the business I now, so I really want to keep going forward as well. So, yeah.
Can you dispel what charities you've been closely working with?
Yeah, I'm mainly fundraise for Shelter, which are a homeless charity, because it's something I feel incredibly strongly about, and I get really not passionate, it's the wrong word, but upset, and when I walk through Exeter and I see and how bad it's got over the last 4 years that I've lived here. So Shelter, and then I've worked with a couple others, so St Petrox, which is again another homeless charity, and then Beat, which is a charity which fundraise for eating disorders, and then I have Calm Zone, which is another mental health charity. So quite a few, but mainly Shelter.
Fantastic.
I think it's great if you can help out charities that you feel strongly about at the same time doing something you enjoy. I mean, I've always you hear people say "Oh, I'm doing this for charity, that for charity," and they're able to think of incorporating their own passions into helping other charities out. I've not been able to do that. I've thought of doing stuff for charity before, but I'm gonna have to run. I don't want to run. I couldn't do that. I don't even think I could do a marathon to raise money for my own family. I don't think I could even manage. So for other people, I'd be stuffed. But no, I think that's really good. I take it there's more fundraising stuff on the way as well.
Yeah, yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, just let us know, and we'll put the word out there, won't we, Chief?
We certainly will.
We certainly will. Absolutely.
So,
go on, far away.
I suppose the last big thing is, what do you want to achieve once this is over? COVID, pandemics. I think you've sort of answered it, but I'll ask.
Yeah, mainly just a bakery. Really, there's an old pub right next to where I live, and I just love to lease it and just turn it into my own space. But obviously, that's so unrealistic. But I just love a space where people can come in and just be themselves, and like it doesn't, than just, I'm speaking good words here. Like come in and try my food, but it's also a space where you can like socialize, and like there's just no like stigma attached or anything. Like, you can just come in and be completely yourself, and it's safe and a haven. And I'd quite like as well, this is quite different, but I'd quite like to my brother's autistic, so I'd really love a space where autistic children could come in and experience a sensory experience through baking. That would mean a lot for me if I could do something like that, and if I was able to do something like that, because I think baking is a fantastic way of bringing people together. Yeah, so they're my two things.
Yeah, amazing.
That sounds incredible.
I wish I had your drive when I was 21.
I wish I could make brownies at 21.
Yeah, I was just some troll behind a stove somewhere at 21. But
what's changed, Chief? Apart from the fact you got older. That's about the only difference.
Older. I get to write the menus now.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was actually sort of, it's quite interesting, but it was actually baking. And I'm by no means a fantastic baker at all. But it was baking that first got me into food properly. Probably when I was about your age, I suppose. I remember it was vividly Mother's Day, and Dad said to me, "I'm going to cook Mother's Day lunch for your mum," which I was thankful for, because I didn't want him to cook for anyone else's mum on Mother's Day. And then he said, "And you're going to make pudding. Why don't you bake her a cake? She likes cakes." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll bake her a cake." And I thought to myself, I ain't got a bloody clue how to bake a cake. And I was like, how can it be? Like, why do I not know how to bake a cake? I'm 21 years of age. Surely everyone's Anyway, I muddled my way through a Victoria sponge. It actually turned out quite good by some miracle. It turned out quite nice. And then sort of having eaten it, I was just like, wow. Like, a couple of hours ago, I just had some eggs and a bit of flour and some butter. And now I've got this thing that's actually quite delicious and surprisingly edible. And from there, I was then like, oh, what other stuff can I make? And then I think for Mum's birthday, I made a key lime pie or something like that. And then I just kept trying stuff out. And there was a huge amount of failures, obviously, in between. I think
yeah.
And you must have experienced this as well when you're trying out recipes. There's an awful lot of failure that has to take place before you get to the point where you're happy, especially with you when you're selling your goods.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
Try it, and you just got to stick your neck on the line and go for it sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And not get annoyed at failures as well.
That's the trick.
It's part of the journey.
Failure is the best teacher, isn't it, as they say?
Yeah.
You need to work at stuff, don't you?
Of course you do.
I know we've worked with a chef that would come up with a menu idea, and the next day it'd be on the menu, and
there's no trial
disaster.
Process.
We're looking at sort of 6 months before you're putting on something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would at least trial things out. It's not like we're in the position where we've got a development kitchen and chefs that are set aside to develop dishes for us while we're taking care of business. We got to find time in the day, didn't we, to develop bits and pieces. So it'd be, I've got a quiet Monday. I'll order in an extra few bits and pieces, and we'll have a little run through what it is we want to try and achieve. But yeah, failure is necessary, and it's also exposing yourself to failure. You've got to put yourself in deep waters sometimes, haven't you? You can't just, and I'm guilty of it, and I'm sure Paul is as well. There's things that you're not that confident about in cookery, and you shy away from doing them. I'm sure you do that, don't you, Chief? It's not just me.
Oh, yeah, always, yeah.
Yeah, you sort of be reserved and go, well, I've never been very good at
pastry usually.
Yeah, I've never been very good at X, Y, Z, so I won't do it. And that's not the best way to develop, is it? That's not the best way to learn.
No, I think you've just got to chuck yourself in there sometimes, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything on your radar, Katie, that you want to sort of give a try to, and you've been reluctant or hesitant thus far, or you're obviously braver than Paul and I, and you go straight for it?
No, definitely. Like, I don't know anything really about meat or fish, so that I would like I am a vegan, but I would love to learn the art of it because it is an art. So yeah, but it scares me because I literally don't know what I'm doing. So yeah.
Have you ever eaten meat and fish?
Yeah, but I stopped eating meat when I was 19, so I hadn't really cooked that. I'd cooked about chicken breast, and that was about it.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so I haven't really done anything. And I, watch all the MasterChef and cooking shows, and I'm like, oh, just it's so cool what they do. So yeah.
But there is definitely an art to it. I suppose you'd agree with that, wouldn't you, Chief? There's definitely an art to it.
An art to cooking.
To cooking meat and cooking fish.
Oh yeah.
Properly. I mean, there's an art to cooking anything, but
Yeah.
I think what Katie's alluding to is how it is that centerpiece of the dish. When you just see a lovely glistening piece of fish or beautifully cooked all the way through, loin of lamb or something like that.
It's just those extra seconds, isn't it? Either side, and yeah. That's why I enjoy cooking them, being on the meat and fish section.
Yeah,
well, that's against it.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's quite often how Paul and I used to, when we worked together. More often than not, you were on the stove on meat and fish. I don't know why I say that like a northerner, but there was Paul on meat and fish, and I was cooking veg. But that's how it was, wasn't it? But that's sort of that was what Paul was better at than me, and was what Paul enjoyed, and I was more than happy just to. I say stand around and watch him cook. I was busy doing things as well, but you sort of play to each other's strengths, don't you? And I pranced around on the pastry.
There was a lot of prancing.
There was a lot of prancing around, but I'm an energetic guy.
It's fun. I like pastry because it's a bit calmer.
Yeah, I said that a couple of weeks back, didn't I, Paul? When you've almost got you've almost seemingly, if you're organised, you've got more time.
Yeah.
To just work at your own pace. Do you do much pastry work yourself in terms of what you would consider general patisserie, or is it mainly?
Not really. I did all the cakes and stuff at Boston. That was kind of my role, mainly. So I guess that, but not really. I haven't really had an experience. I'd love to get an actual experience in a proper kitchen. It'd be really cool just to see what it's like.
It is good. It's good.
Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be.
I absolutely loved working in the kitchen at Boston, so it'd be really fun to see. And that's only just a daytime cafe, so I'd love to work in a restaurant and see what it's like.
Well,
it is good fun.
If you've got that passion to do it, and you're determined to do it, then I've got absolutely no doubts that that's exactly where you'll end up. Because people, I think Paul and I might have spoken before, either on the podcast or just in real life, so to speak. You will always take someone with less skill but more enthusiasm 9 times out of 10 than someone who thinks they know it all and they've got a bit of experience and they're just coasting through it as a job. They don't see it so much as a career or a passion. It's a job. You when someone comes in and they've got like a real buzz about what they're doing and they just want to learn each and every day and soak up as much as they can, those are the people that you have more pleasure working with and sort of teaching in a way, because you've got their attention.
Yeah, and you could see a development then as well.
It is.
Yeah.
You could see them develop as a chef, and before you know it, they're after your job and
that's it.
Destitute.
Yeah. And then you're on the outside looking in through the window. I used to cook in there.
Yeah, this is mine.
I'm going to ask you one final question. I did put it up on here, but I can't remember the password on my phone. We'll cut that bit out. I was going to ask you one final question because I said Sorry, I can just hear my fiance mocking me from another room, so we'll have to cut that out as well. I was going to ask you one final question about what do you think is required and how would you go about making the perfect brownie?
Oh, okay. It's so important to have good quality chocolate. That I think is really important. I don't use cocoa powder at all in them, and a lot of brownie recipes that you find will incorporate cocoa powder, and I think no. So good quality chocolate, and then I think to get a good, the crackle on top, to get that whip the sugar and eggs quite a bit together, put all that air into it, and then yeah, they're my two main things. I've been asked that question before. Yeah, and salt. Don't shy away from salt. Chocolate loves salt. Yeah.
Fantastic. Could you give our listeners a peek behind the curtain of what chocolate you use, or is it a trade secret? I
mean, I use Cabo. I don't know if that's how you say it. I think that's how you say it.
Close enough for what we do.
Yeah.
Is it the 70%? Do you go for a bitter dark chocolate or somewhere in the middle?
I have a combo. I use 54.5 and then 70.5. I do both. Yeah.
See, that's
I like that 75.
That's good. I must admit, I made brownies at work, and I use my fiance Harriet's recipe because she's a very good baker. And she uses 70% cocoa. It's gluten-free. It's just ground almonds in there to replace the flour. And she did say to whisk up the sugar and the eggs for quite a long time, so really, really, really thick and creamy.
Yeah, definitely.
But she does use cocoa powder, so I will tell her on the authority of a professional who sells her product that cocoa powder is a no-no. She's wrong.
Well, it depends what type of cocoa powder you're using as well, I think.
This was I can't remember what it's called now. It came in a very posh sealed bag, and it looked very ethically sourced.
That is quite, that's fancy cocoa powder.
It wasn't just one from a supermarket.
£75 a bag.
Well, I didn't pay for it. I didn't pay for it, but yeah.
Was that Chris from Dartfresh selling you that again?
It wasn't Chris from Dartfresh. Actually, no, it was Chris from Dartfresh. Yeah, I did get it from Dartfresh. I thought
of course. He sent me it the other day as well.
Oh, did he? The big bag. It's good stuff, actually.
The big bag of it.
It's good stuff. So that's the secret to the brownie.
Fantastic.
No cocoa, 2 different types of chocolate. Salt. Chocolate loves salt. And
good
a little
quality
bit
chocolate.
Good quality chocolate, and a little bit of skill. You've got to take some of the credit.
You just got to listen to it and know when it's done. Don't overbake it.
Don't overbake it. Do you go for a very sort of fudgy brownie or?
Yeah, fudgy, gooey fudgy rather than cakey.
Do you serve it warm?
I've actually never had one.
I suppose that makes sense, being a vegan and all.
So yeah. But I know people do. My girlfriend likes to eat them from the fridge, which is weird. But one of her housemates eats them in the microwave. So, isn't it? Yeah.
Eats them in the microwave. How big's your microwave?
Yeah, it gets in it.
It just gets in.
Puts up a little tent.
Starts chewing on some brownies. Well, what you'll have to do is send Paul some, and he'll tell you how good they are.
Yeah, you can tell me the best way of eating a brownie.
The best way to eat them. I don't know if you've got any more questions to add there, Chief.
I don't think so. I think we've covered everything brownie related.
Everything brownie related, yeah.